911 made waves when it confirmed Buck's bisexuality, but the show is failing to properly incorporate his sexuality into his character. Since 9-11's pilot season, Evan "Buck" Buckley, Oliver Stark, has had a habit of rushing into relationships. Every serious romance he experienced followed the same pattern that he'd criticize after a breakup. Buck would impulsively enter a relationship, invest too much too quickly, and prioritize his partner over himself. In the last 2 seasons, though, his character underwent what should have been a highly reflective storyline. Until 911 Season 8, Episode 9 releases, however, the future for Buck's character is unclear. Even including romantic partners, Buck's longest relationships are with the members of the 118, but best friend Eddie Diaz, Ryan Guzman, might send Buck spiraling. Eddie potentially leaving 911 Season 8 mixed with Tommy Kinnard, Lou Ferrigno Jr., dumping him will be a wake-up call for Buck to truly reflect on his identity and his relationships. With 911 Season 9 still unconfirmed, time is of the essence for showrunner Tim Minney to flesh out Buck's bisexuality and allow him to undergo some actual self-discovery. 911 doesn't need to make bisexuality Buck's only character trait, but the story shouldn't outright ignore it. Buck needs to explore his sexuality properly in 911. Buck doesn't need to rush into another relationship. Buck smiling in 911 Season 8, Episode 8. The biggest mistake 911 made during Buck's bi-awakening was having him immediately enter a committed, monogamous relationship with the first man he ever kissed. Instead of taking his realization in stride and taking time to understand what it means for him, Buck starts dating Tommy, but their romance was sidelined until 911 Season 8. The little we see of Buck dating a man is no different from past girlfriends who appear for a season and then leave just as quickly as they appear. One could argue that makes his bisexuality merely a part of him instead of the entire focus, but it feels unearned. While it took him until 911 Season 7 to fully realize it, Buck's attraction to men has been lying dormant for years. He even admits to his sister that he thought it was normal to find men hot. As such, his bisexuality doesn't have to be a dramatic revelation, it could have been a beautiful moment for Buck to feel things falling into place. Unfortunately, viewers never see Buck come to terms with his identity because his bisexuality was put on the back burner as soon as it's introduced. Before he settles down into his next relationship, Buck needs to reflect. 911 needs to be careful with exploring Buck's sexuality. Buck 1.0 doesn't need to return. 911 needs to approach Buck's journey of self-discovery with care. It could be incredibly easy for writers to revert Buck to his 911 Season 1 persona where he used sex as a coping mechanism. All the work Buck's done to distance himself from Buck 1.0 doesn't need to go to waste, it's possible for his maturity and identity exploration to coexist. But rather than saddle Buck with a random partner, the show should let Buck go on first dates. Exploring multiple avenues without rushing to be someone's boyfriend will let Buck explore his taste in men and women alike. Of course, there's an obvious reason for 911 to try to downplay Buck's bisexuality. Not all viewers took kindly to his bisexual awakening, but Oliver Stark responded to the 911 Season 7 backlash perfectly. If Buck's bisexuality is your deal breaker, I fear you've missed the entire point of the show. Thousands of fans see themselves in Buck, due in part to his bisexuality. In order to offer the audience good faith bisexual representation, 911 needs to take a brave stance and highlight Buck's queerness by allowing him to explore his sexuality without judgment.